Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation with Mystique, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about everyone knows the controversial budget padding saga, and I feel like it's a very important conversation for us to have moving on forward as a country. So, we all know what happened this week. A senator from Bauchi Central PDP. His name is Abdul Ningi. Granted an interview last week, Friday to be precise, with BBC Hausa. And they said he said so many things on that interview. So for me, I had to go look for the interview, but I wasn't able to find the interview. But I'm glad that they were able to read out the interview in English version on the Senate floor, and the interview was translated by an Hausa person, and it was notarized. So notarized means that it's valid and it's something that people can hold to account. So I listened to that interview, the English version read by one Senator Yayi, and after reading that, I didn't see anything that would warrant the whole noise that we are having right now, trying to put the blame on Ningi. Like when I mean noise, I'm not talking about noise in terms of the padding, because this whole noise that we are having right now, it's very important and I appreciate it. But what I'm saying noise in terms of them going after Ningi to the extent that they suspended him from the Senate, for me, I was like, it didn't make sense. Like, I don't understand why you have to do that. But I'm very thankful that he granted that interview and he did that interview, and we now know what is going on in the National Assembly. So, first of all, before I start, and before I play the audio that I want to play or the video I want to play, it's very important that we look into, we have a background of what budget padding is. So I want us to go into it, look into it, and know what it means. Then we can now play the audio. So budget padding, it refers to the unethical practice of adding unnecessary or inflated expenditures to a budget proposal or a financial plan. It involves the deliberate inflation of budget figures beyond what is necessary or appropriate, often for the purpose of diverting funds for personal gain, patronage, or other illegitimate reason. So it's just like, let's say, for example, your school fees is 16,000 naira. So your school told you that you have to pay 16,000 naira, which everybody agreed. And you go home, you tell your okay, let's say they said 16,000 for your school fees, and they tell you 5,000 naira for your books, and they tell you 5,000 naira for your uniform. So you go home, you tell your parents that your school fees is let's say 18,000 naira, and the books is 6,000 naira, and your uniform is 5,500. So you see there that you already inflated the price in those services or those budgets that was provided to you by your school. So you increase the price for your school fees by 2,000 naira. You increase the one for your book for 1,000 naira, and you increase the one for your uniform for 500 naira. So now we have a contest. So in the context of government budget padding, typically involves inflating the cost of projects or line items in order to allocate more funds than necessary. This excessive funding may then be diverted or embezzled by individuals or groups involved in the budgeting process. So when they inflate these prices, it is either embezzled by individuals, or it's a group of people that would come together and request for that budget. So let's use, for example, now, Ministry of Agric now, they would give a budget of, let's say 5 million naira. And they have somebody in the Senate there who is very close to them. The person might then tell them, okay, let's look for some other smaller departments, or even if we don't have small department, let's create other departments. Then we can put in funds in those departments, then increase the budget for Ministry of Education. Then those small department that they put in that does not even exist at all, those money would not be for them. They will take that money. So that's what it means. So budget padding undermines the integrity of the budgetary process, distorts resource allocation, and ultimately leads to wastage of public funds. It is considered a form of corruption. I want us to have that in mind. It is considered a form of corruption and a breach of public trust, and it deprives the citizen of the intended benefits of public spending and undermines the effective delivery of public services and infrastructure. So when you have things like budget padding, it affects the country, it affects the citizen, it affects the society. So it's not something that we should just brush aside and make it look as if it's not important, because they are the ones telling us it's not important. They know what they have done. They know that they have goofed. They know that they have done something that's not that's not proper. They know that they've all gone out of their ethics, and that is why we had all those screaming and shouting and here there, this one, that one, let's suspend him, oh, he's after your ethnicity, he's after your region, like, no, those silly talks. So but before we go any further, I want us to have a context of what Abdul Ningi said. Before we go any further, let us listen to this Hausa, this BBC Hausa interview that he granted, and then when we listen to that, then we can now follow up with, I think he had one other follow-up interview. He had an interview with Arise TV. So you can go on Arise TV. That was after the BBC Hausa interview. He had one with Arise TV on Monday. So you can go to Arise platform and watch that. Then you can now make your own decision for yourself. Okay? So but now let's listen to what they had to say here. So the person speaking right now is Senator Yayi Solomon Yayi. So let's listen to what he has to say here. Then we can now make a decision. Okay, let me expand the screen. Hopefully I don't have an advert, but let's see.
Adeola Olamilekan Solomon, Ogun West Centurial District. The full English version of what Senator Abdul Ningi said in Hausa version of the BBC program. First of all, I want you to know that I am a member of the People's Democratic Party and a representative of the people. Based on my opinion, the government hasn't performed to our expectation. Things are getting worse compared to when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took the leadership of the country. People are going through a lot of difficulties. We live in the village. We are going there to interact with them, and they are lamenting seriously. They have now nowhere to go, so they have no one to express their grievances to than us. I think Bola Ahmed Tinubu didn't even understand the country, and he didn't understand the difficulties of ruling the country like Nigeria. Probably he has his thinking of what governance is, but I don't blame him so much, because when he was campaigning for the seat, there was no agreement or promise between him and the people. People were just blinded and voted for him because he supported former President Muhammadu Buhari when he was contesting. Some even voted for him because he is a Muslim, and as such, he needed their vote on whether he can or cannot do the right thing for the country. But the most painful thing is that the Northerners stood for him and did all they could to bring him to power. But unfortunately, there was no agreement between them and the president on what should be done to the North and the Northerners, especially taking into consideration the importance and the significant project that the North has been yearning and aspiring to get for a long time. For example, the Ajaokuta project, the Mambila Power project, the dredging of River Niger, and other notable projects. What mostly disturbed my sleep is that we had a budget in 2013 and 2014 in which we earmarked billions of naira, but it was neglected by President Goodluck Jonathan. When President Buhari came, we thought it was one of the projects he would pay attention to. But unfortunately, it wasn't possible for over 8 years. Even road construction like Kano Abuja is not yet completed, as if it was a cause by someone, despite the road being the soul of our travelers in the North. Indeed, we don't attack the government as an opposition is supposed to do, but this is as a result of the situation and the government we have. There is so-called leaders that force on us were not voted by us. They brought religious issue and ethnic and tribal issue into the process. They use propaganda saying that there is no Hausa Fulani will be trusted to lead the opposition because there will be no peace. If you look at it from this scenario, the majority of those in opposition are from the Northeast and the Northwest. But we are not allowed to be the leaders of the opposition in the Senate. This is one of the reasons why we said we will go back and look at what is happening under the umbrella of the Northern Senators Forum, which is under my leadership. But you can't do anything here because it involves members of the ruling and opposition party. It is very difficult to challenge the ruling party under the umbrella. Once again, you want the unity of the North. Transferring of some of the Department of Federal Agency to Lagos.
Read the last paragraph again.
And we're back in third quarter planning. Adams is quarterbacking this project.
Sir? It is very difficult to challenge the ruling party under that umbrella once you want the unity of the North. Transferring of some Department of Federal Agency to Lagos. I will speak not as a member of opposition, but as a Northerner. As a Northerner, I know that
what I have on my paper, which is the transcribed version, which has been notarized by a court of competence, we will go back and look at what is happening under the umbrella. So read from there.
okay, this is one of the reasons why we said we will go back and look at what is happening under the umbrella of the Northern Senators Forum, which is under my leadership. But you can't do anything here. You can't do everything here because it involves members of the ruling and opposition party. It is very difficult to challenge the ruling party under that umbrella once you want the unity of the North. Transferring of some Department of Federal Agency to Lagos. I will speak not as a member of opposition, but as a Northerner. And as a Northerner, I know that this is going to happen. We heard about it, and we saw several examples in the past, and that tells us that this is possible. But as I speak, our people, especially the leaders, are yet to take any action to find the solution. That is why I am not even surprised. These things that are happening are two categories. Some affect the North only, some affect the entire country. What we are doing now, as a leader of the Forum of Northerners, we are trying to address the problem to reduce the strength or reduce its strength without allowing politics to come in. About the review of the budgets. This is true. For the past 3 months, we have engaged consultants to review the budget for us. We have some experts that are working on it line by line. We have seen huge damage that was done not only to the north, but the entire country in that budget. We are supposed to sit with the Senate President to inform him about what we have observed. We want to show him what we have seen in the budget that is not acceptable. We will not accept them, and we don't want the country to continue spending money on those things. Apart from what the National Assembly did on the floor, there was another budget that was done underground which we didn't know. The new things we have discovered in the budget were not known to us. We haven't seen them in the budget, and that was debated and considered on the floor of the National Assembly. Discoveries. For example, it was said that there was a budget of 28 trillion, but what we passed was 25 trillion naira.
Please read that again, because this is the Senate. This is the Senate. We are only an arm of the National Assembly. Budget is a joint thing between the National Assembly and between the Senate and the House of Representatives. Are you hearing me? Yeah. And then the executive is also involved in the sense that they bring the budget, and then we look at it, tinker with it, and pass. I want you to read that portion again. For example, read.
For example, it was said that there was a budget of 28 trillion, but what was passed was 25 trillion. So there is a 3 trillion on top. Where are they? Where is it going? So we need to know this. There are a lot of things we are coming up with. A report, and we will show the president himself and ask him if he's aware or not. This is what we intended to do. We are to meet the president. We will talk to him about the Mambila Power Project, Ajakuta, and the River Niger dredging. We will talk to him about the Niger Republic. Recently, they said they will construct a dam, and this is not good for us. The action taken by ECOWAS has affected the relationship between Nigeria and Niger. There was an agreement, Nigeria and Niger.
All right, so let's pause it there. I don't want the video to be too long, so I want us to be very concerned with time. So the most important thing that we heard there is we heard where he actually talked about some discrepancies in the budget. So what he said, that was Ningi. What Ningi said was that on the floor, they had they discussed on the floor, and everything they talked about on the floor was 25 trillion, and then what they now passed was 28 trillion. So what he's asking is, where did the 3.7 trillion come from? And also that what they discovered, that there was a new he discovered that there was a different budget, different from what they all talked about on the floor. So that was what he talked about. So, and again, I would want to give him some lapses there, because when you speak something in your native tongue or your mother's tongue, which he did in Hausa, sometimes when someone translates it, in between that translation, you might lose some important words in it. So maybe and it's not the fault of the translator. No, it's not the fault. Even if you are the best translator, but in between you're going to lose some words, because everybody's language is unique and different. So English is unique and different on its own. Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Efik, Ibibio, Ijo, they're all those language are different and unique on their own. So when you are, even when you speak something in English and you try to translate it into your language, if those words are not in your language, you're going to lose those things during the course of translation. So maybe I would give him that. I'll give him that because there was one other interview that I watched where he was saying that most of what he said wasn't really the way he said it. But any which way, let's leave it aside. Also, in the interview, I'm gonna have to fault him again in terms of I don't know why they not always feel insecure when a southerner is at the helms of affair. The North needs to stop this shenanigans that they do. You are not entitled to Nigeria. Neither is Nigerian entitled to you guys. For the fact that some southern politicians play your kind of politics and try to give you guys the grace or try to make you guys feel important does not mean that you guys are important. No, you guys are not. The rights that you have is the same rights that a southerner have. So if a southerner is president, if a southerner is in charge of the National Assembly, you should not have any issue to complain about. You guys always complain about virtually everything. It just reminds me of when Obasanjo became president in 1999. That was a time you guys decided to go form Sharia. Why do you guys have to always disrupt the system when a southerner is there? Okay, now Tinubu came in. He decided that there are some departments of the CBN that needs to go to Lagos because that is where they will function better instead of them being in the north. You guys are already complaining that he wants to take Aso Rock to Lagos. No, he's not. And moreover, he has no business with CBN. The CBN governor knows Cardoso. He knows that this thing is not working if they're here. And that was why he said, let's take it to Lagos so they can function better. It's just like the fan. Fan is not functioning in Abuja. There's no point. Even Keyamo said that they spend so much money. That's if they need to do something in Lagos, they spend so much money for transportation and for accommodation in Lagos. So why do you have to leave fan in Abuja when it's not useful there? So that is only where I have issue with this interview. After that, I don't have any issue. I feel like he's doing the right thing as an opposition leader. You have to call out the system. You have to call out the government if they're not functioning well. And that is it. Tinubu's administration is not going well at all. It is not going well at all. Even when he talked about there is no agreement between Tinubu's administration and the people, is the fact. When Tinubu went to Chatham House for an interview when he was campaigning, when they gave him questions to answer, he couldn't answer the questions. He had to delegate those questions to the people that were with him. It tells you that this guy has nothing to offer. And moreover, he told you he didn't even have an interview with you guys. He didn't have a debate with you guys to let you guys know what he will be providing, what he has, what he's bringing to the table. He has none. I remember there was this woman, I've forgotten her name. Maybe it's Aisha something. I can't remember her name. That went to visit Tinubu. I think she went to France or London to see him during the campaign. And she asked him, what do you have for the North? And he said nothing. So what are we now talking about? So Ningi, everything Ningi said was correct. Everything Ningi did as an opposition party member is the fact. He's acting as an opposition and he has every right to act as an opposition. He has every right to call everything to question when it has to do with this administration. But when it comes to, oh, you guys are trying to do this one, no, that is where I don't agree. That is that politics that I don't even agree. And that was why I was so pissed off with the APC people during the campaign when they went so extreme. I was so pissed off with them. But let's listen to so this interview I just played that was read by Solomon Yayi was the interview he granted on Friday that caused all this rousiness. But let's now listen to like a follow-up interview to what he said like following up to this BBC interview, he was trying to clarify himself because people were now taking his words out of context. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my screen full. Then
in
I'll
the budget.
take this back so we can
And I
listen.
also said, in the course of our perusing the budget, which Onanuga seems to have dwelt on, I say we have established very reasonable doubt about 25 trillion so far has nexus in the budget. That means there is money, and then there is project, and then there is location. Money, project, location. But we are yet to ascertain 3 trillion of that budget. We have established the 3 trillion in the budget. We have not established its location and the place. The intention of the northern senators as regards to the budgetary allocation was to meet the Senate President with our findings and subsequently meet President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with our findings. So if one is questioning our desire to relate with Bola Tinubu, how will I say that the findings of the Northern Senator Forum will go to the Senate President and then to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President and Commander-in-Chief? And you could see, I switched off all my handsets this morning. I don't want any Northern Senator to come here. If it is a cross I have to carry, I'll carry it. I'm not afraid of anything. Anything. I believe in one God, and I believe power is transient. I'm not scared of any issue like suspension. I've been out of the Senate for 8 years. And people had to force me back. It's not an issue. Some of our friends were removed by tribunals. They're living their lives. If because I say what I will say, if because I said what I said, then I'll be suspended. So please be it. It will be an honor. And for me to be suspended by whatever body. The interview I had with BBC was never an interview for Northern Senators Forum. It was an interview for myself. I don't want people to castigate them. I want people to castigate me as a leader. I want to make sure that I shield. I want to make sure whatever happens, let it happen to me. And that's why I said, please, shut my phones. I will address the press on this matter.
Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos.
All right, thank you so much. So so you heard what he said there. So he said that 25 trillion, you can find where 25 trillion is going to. You know where 25 trillion is going to. But the 3 trillion is that one that he's really concerned about. You don't know where that 3 trillion is going to. And that is why he's asking questions. That where is that 3 trillion? Where did that 3 trillion go to? He wants to know. And I don't think it's a bad thing to want to ask questions. I don't think so. So the funny thing was that if they had not blew this thing out of proportion, probably we wouldn't have done what's going on. But because something wanted us to know, that was why they took his interview with BBC Hausa out of context so that we would be talking about it today. So just imagine that if he had had that interview with BBC Hausa and everything that he said, because to me, everything that he said wasn't really that strong of a word that you want to hold like that. But it was just the people who decided to just take those ones when he said there was another budget. And it's good because I don't know what must have made them to do that. And that is why we are having that conversation. And that is how all their atrocities will just be coming out. We'll continue to see them. I'm so happy that this age that we are right now, this technology age that we are right now, it is very, very important. And we need to make use of it as a people. We need to grab it and use it in a good way for ourselves. This age that we are, this technology age that we are, is something that can build us to be a better people for our country, or it's something that would destroy us as a people. It depends on how you want to use it. And that is why I decided to use it to speak out. I decided to use it to speak, to say it as it is. So this budget padding, is it a new thing in Nigeria? No, it's not. It's always been there. But the thing is that they've found a way to hide this illicit, illegitimate thing that they do. They found a way to improve on it. When it first started, they were not able to improve on it. But with time, as time goes on, they are able to improve on it. So let's go back to pre-independence era. That was before Nigeria gained independence in 1960. Were there reports of financial mismanagement and irregularities with the colonial administration? We don't really know much if there were any. Those of you that are historians, you can let us know if there were any irregularities going on or mismanagement during the British colonial era, British Nigeria colonial era, even down to 1960. But following after 1960, when we got our independence, at that time we experienced rapid growth due to oil. Okay, after when we got our independence in 66, we had the ill-fated things that happened to us. We had the fighting and all that. Then when you talk about the 70s, that was like the boom of all boom for us. That was when we made good money. Like when you say Nigeria made money, we made so much money because that was the era of the Yongipo War. There was sanctions, and at that time the oil price went so high to about $12, and we made so much money. So that was when budget padding became widespread. Budget padding became a common tactic used by the politicians and the bureaucrats to siphon public funds for personal gain or to reward political allies. That was when it started. So let's come down to the military era. So during the period of the military rule, budget padding and financial mismanagement were also they were even the worst of all. The military, they were the worst. They were the worst thing that ever happened to Nigerian space or Nigeria as a country. The military regime often used state resources to consolidate power and suppress dissent, leading to widespread corruption and economic stagnation. Budgets were frequently inflated to fund pet projects and maintain political loyalty. That was the military era for you. Crazy era at that time. That was when, funny, if you look back at the military era, the only thing that they did was that they just made everybody dumb. That was the only thing they did. There was no good road. There was no infrastructure. Nothing. They were just siphoning the money. Them and their families. You see their wives come out to do pet projects. They'll wear Iro and Buba and be walking on the street and say they are doing pet projects. People like Miriam Babangida and co. So the military era was even the worst of all. So let's come down to the civilian rule. That was from 1999 to what we have right now. So 1999 to 2024 was the era of democratic rule. At that time, we were all thinking that democracy will be better, will be an era of integrity and accountability. Things would move on fine. But sorry, that was even the worst. However, see, budget padding continued to plague us with different administration. It was during this democratic era that we had high-profile scandals like Halimburton scandal. We also have the fuel subsidy scam. So many things under this corrupt civilian rule. So many, who remembers the Halliburton scandal? To the extent that one of the senators from the US that was involved went to jail. His counterpart in Nigeria, for where? That's Atiku Abubakar. Where is he? Is he not in Dubai enjoying himself? Isn't, and that is what all these ones will do. People like the Akpabio, once they are done wrecking Nigeria, they will take all those money and they will go to one island and go and sit down there and chill. They are not bothered at all. They are not bothered. They don't even care one bit. One bit. So now we are in 2024. Prior to 2024, there have always been several high-profile cases of budget padding, including the one that happened in 2016, the National Assembly of 2016. 2016, that was even Buhari's time. Yeah, that was Buhari's time. And that is what one Bamidele here was trying to say. I'm going to see if I can play that video where he was trying to say that we allowed Lawan to have a peaceful reign of 8 years, 4 years. We allowed Saraki to have a peaceful reign. How do you allow corruption to be a peaceful reign? How? How do you allow corruption to be? See, you guys don't learn from the North. When the North is in power, they is it that the South, are we that corrupt? Are we so corrupt in the South? Are we so corrupt in the South? Because during Buhari's administration, there's no way you guys would tell me you didn't know about budget padding. But all of them kept quiet because they all benefited from it. But now that we have Tinubu's owner, the man cannot keep quiet. And I appreciate the man for standing up. Does it mean that the North have more integrity than us in the South? No wonder people always praise the North, that they are very upright and they stand for the truth. Does it mean that the North are much more filled with integrity than we in the South? We just come on social media and we just make noise. We just rant and rant and rant. We don't have any substance. This is a northern senator. This is a northerner that knows his right, that knows what he wants for his people in Nigeria. But you'll see the southern senator, he just wants to go there and get the money so that he can come back home and oppress the people. Even the North, when they embezzle those money, you hardly see them go back home to oppress their people because they know that they know the repercussion of what they will do. They will just go home, mind their business, just stay very quiet and all that. Maybe their children abroad will be the ones spending the money. But our own, for where? The senators that we send there, they will all go there, steal money. That just like the Jarigba, what is his name, that came out and was saying that the high-ranking officers took 500 million. Then later on, he now came back to change it that it was Ningi that took. Why can't you be a man and stand boldly and say you guys took 5? Because Bamidele finally said it, that everything you heard here may be true, but just wait after 12 months. If you will not see borehole, if you will not see solar light, why can't you just be a man and say, yes, most of you ranking senators here took 500 million. What will it cost you? What will it cost you? Nothing, if you stand up for the truth. Even the so-called labor people that they took to those Senate, the so-called labor people that said they are following the footsteps of Peter Obi, they could not even open their mouth and speak the truth. They could not even stand for the truth. No integrity in all the labor representative in the National Assembly. No integrity in any of them. They are no different. This is why when people say that, who are your leaders? Your leaders are you and I. Your leaders are people like me, people like you. What kind of mentalities do we have? Do we have a mentality that once it's my turn, I'm going there to go and embezzle? I don't care. Is that the mentality we have? Is that the people that we are taking to the National Assembly and to Aso Rock? If that be it, then there's no point for election in 2027. There is no point for election if that is what we have in our minds, that, okay, once it's my turn, I'm going to go there and take money without saying anything. That is how they gave them money for cars. They all took the cars without even saying, no, we can't take these cars. Nigerians are suffering. There is no food. There's no basic amenity. There's no electricity. There's no good road. We need to put all these things in place before we start buying cars. Before we start doing anything for ourselves, we need to make sure that Nigerians are comfortable. No, but they wouldn't. Because they are all hungry people. This is a time for God. God has buttered their bread. God has made them to have money now. So, no, you can't come and spoil my turn. When is my turn? No, you can't come and spoil my turn for where? No, now my turn to enjoy. Now my turn to chop. That is what is going through most people's mindset. And that is why when they get there, they don't do nothing. Nothing at all. Let's read what budget. It's called Budget. So Budget is a platform where they look into the budget, they analyze it critically and find out if there is any misnomer in it, and they present it out. So let's see if what Ningi is saying, if it's the truth or not. So it says here, so this is the heading of what they were able to conclude, their findings from the budget. So it says, on Senator Ningi's allegation and indiscriminate insertion in the 2024 budget. So it says here that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, submitted an appropriation bill of 27.50 trillion for the 2024 fiscal year before the National Assembly on November 29, 2023. The budget was reviewed and passed by the National Assembly, eventually signed into law by the President on January 1, 2024. A review of the 2024 approved budget shows that the National Assembly increased the executive budget proposal aggregately from 27.50 trillion to 28.78 trillion. I think they made a mistake here. So it's supposed to be 27.50. And also a more disaggregate look at the approved budget reveals that the National Assembly cut the recurrent non-debt budget proposal proposal. So it's the personnel, overhead, pensions, gratuity, and other social benefits by 1.15 trillion from the proposed 9.92 trillion to the approved sum of 88.77 trillion. Why would they do that? Like these are very important. This is a very important budget here, where you have pensions and you have gratuity. This is very important. People who have worked for the country 35 years, they deserve a good benefit. They deserve something good that they can hold on to for the remaining of their lives on earth. So why would you cut the cost? Like to what gain would you do that? To what gain? So that you can put it into something that you can benefit from? You all go there, you earn almost 15 million a month. You earn almost 15 million a month and you don't do nothing. There's nothing you guys do. You just go there, sit down there and talk, and you don't pass any reasonable bill that will benefit us. You just go there, you sit down, you talk. Nothing reasonable comes out from what you guys have. And people who actually do the work, the workers, those who work in those ministries, who actually sit down, compile figures, write memos, type all the whole memos that you need, everything. They are the ones that need that pension so that they can have something good to fall back to when they retire. Some of them may not have children, so nobody will be able to take care of them when they retire. They will have to take care of themselves. Some may have children, but the children, they may not have good jobs that they will be able to feed their own family and feed their own parents. Some of them would look for job because we have a system that is not working. They won't have a good job to be able to take care of their parents. And the only money that the parents have to take care of themselves is their pension. And you are reducing it to what? What are you reducing it for? What are you reducing it for? Guys, you need to pick up this budget it, and just read it for yourself. It's very, very important. So let's go to the number 2.0. So it says here allocations excluded from the budget breakdown published. So this is what Ningi was talking about. This is where Ningi got his allegations from. So Senator Abdul Ningi alleged a padding of the 2024 budget to the tune of 3.7 trillion. However, our findings shows that a budget breakdown totaling 25.4 trillion was approved by the budget of the ministries. So you see that Ningi was in line. If you go back and listen to what he said, Ningi Babatin said that 25 trillion was what they all agreed on the floor of the Senate. He says 25, that was where he used the word nexus or nexus. So he said 25 trillion, you can find where it's going to, you can find what it is going for. So he has no issue with the 25 trillion. But the 3.7 trillion is what he's actually asking questions for. Is what he's asking, where did that 3.7 trillion, where is it going into? And he has every right to ask that question. So he says here that the comprehensive budget breakdown of government-owned enterprise, that's GOE, the National Assembly, the National Judicial Commission, the Public Complaints Commission, INEC, and TET Fund, totaling 3.32 trillion, was excluded from the budget that was passed and published. So these ones that I just called out, they were all excluded. The 3.32 trillion were all excluded from. Why will you exclude it? This is where we talk about transparency. There are times that at this point in time that we have in our country, whereby every kobo matters, every naira spent matters. We need transparency. We need transparency with our government officials. We need transparency with the legislatures. We need transparency with the executives. When you are spending money, from every kobo to every naira, we need them to be accountable for. I don't know if it's not the practices that you guys are used to, but you can imbibe that culture of transparency where you put all this 3.32 trillion, where it went to, put it in the budget. If you had done that, I don't think Ningi will be asking questions. But because you didn't put that in the budget, that is why Ningi is asking questions. And this is why I'm saying there was no need for that suspension. That suspension was uncalled for. It didn't make sense at all. Let's read. So this does not mean that the country operates two separate budgets and there is only one physical budget known to us. Okay, I agree with you. The budget was 25.4 trillion. Yeah, we agree. But the reason why he spoke out was because he couldn't find where the 3.32 trillion went to. That's why he's speaking out. So let's go on. It says, however, the summary budget of the aforementioned agencies was passed by the National Assembly and included in the published approved budget. The practice of omitting the breakdown of certain government MDAs, the National Assembly, and the Judiciary and the National Judiciary Commission goes against one of the core principles of public budgeting, which instructs that all expenditure breakdowns be presented in the same budget document. Although the FG published the proposed budget of GOEs and is yet to publish the 2024 approved budget for the GOEs. I'm going to read that again. So this is very important. So when people try to say, oh, Ningi does not know, Ningi knows what he's saying. And this is where I talked about transparency. Transparency is very important. If you know that you want your integrity to be upheld, if you know that you want your sense of accountability to be upheld, then you have to be transparent in what you do. And this is where the National Assembly failed by not being transparent. It says the practice of omitting the breakdown of certain government MDAs, the National Assembly, and the National Judicial Commission goes against one of the core principles of public budgeting. The 2024 budget is not your private budget. It's not National Assembly budget. It is Nigerian budget. It is the taxpayer money budget. It is money that you have put igbese on every Nigerian's head budget. Because most of the annoying part of everything now is that the budget, 8.25 trillion, is used to service debt. Debt that we don't know anything about. Debt that the common man has not benefited from. It is used to service debt. So when you are doing things like this with public funds, you have to make it very transparent, because it is not your money. It is not Yayi's money. It is not Akpabio's money. It is not Bamidele's money. It is not Ningi's money. It is not Tinubu's money. It is Nigerians' money. So you have to be transparent. So it now goes further. So you're going to see here, it says captured in budget breakdown published. So this is where all the money is going to. So the MDA's budget went to about 24 trillion 454 billion 91 million 106,463 naira. Then the statutory transfers. So you have the Niger Delta Development Commission, you have UBEC, you have the National Human Rights Commission. What is the Human Rights Commission that you people are doing? I've never seen one tangible fight that you people have fought for Nigerians. Is it police brutality? Is it military brutality? Is it road safety? Is it even normal? Let's use example, Erisco Foods. Even that topic is a very sensitive topic that I would like to talk about. But in as much as people try to put the blame on the lady, but the man is going above and beyond. He's humiliating and he's bullying the girl. And that is a human right abuse. Like, for the fact that you're trying to clear your image, and in clearing your image, you're going beyond your human right, your right to inflict pain on another person's right. That is a cause for concern. And that is where human rights comes in. Have they come in? What is the human right are they doing? Basic healthcare provision fund for where? How? Oh my God. I pity for Nigerians, for real. I pity for Nigerians. So the ones that were excluded from the budget. So this is what was excluded. This was what was not included in the budget. That's this one. So it says here that government-owned enterprise budget, TED Fund, National Judiciary Council, National Assembly, Public Complaints Commission, Independent National Electoral Commission. So all this went to about 3.32 3 million 321 sorry 3 trillion 321 million 464,000 460 sorry, let me go back again. It's a really long figure. So it's 3 trillion 321 million billion, sorry, then 464 million 799,100. Like, the money that these people call is just outrageous. Like, seriously, you see, you have to take me like almost 3 times to be able to, like, they think trillion is just mere. Trillion is a big money. You know what trillion is? If all this money are used judiciously, if all this money are used well for the citizens, nobody in Nigeria will be hungry. Nobody in Nigeria will be hungry at all if they use this money well. We will all eat very comfortable and we will all be satisfied. Like when they just put these figures out there, sometimes my mind, I'll be like, do they know what they are calling? Like these are huge sums of money that can elevate people out of poverty, that can take Nigerians out of poverty if we have the right leaders there, if we have the right people there that genuinely want progress in that country. So it now says here that, so this is 3.0. So it says distribution of inserted projects by value. So it says here that a total of 7,447 projects accumulating in 2.24 trillion were inserted in the 2024 budget by the National Assembly, an ugly trend that was accelerated in the 9th National Assembly. 55 of the projects range with a value of 580.7 billion, are greater than 5 billion in value. We also noticed that 281 projects worth 491 billion and 3,706 projects within the range of 100 to 500 million worth 759 billion were inserted into the budget. The National Assembly has indiscriminately added projects to the budget, with most projects having no national significance but narrowed to the personal interest. Okay, I now get it. I now see where Ningi was complaining that some of the things in the budget did not fit into the northern interests. Okay, so some of the projects here, this project of 7,447, the north did not benefit from most of the projects. Okay. Oh my God, you see these people? You see, Ningi is just fighting for his people. Ningi is just fighting for his people. Because if you go down, there's one article I saw. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Where it says that Akpabio. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Let's see. See here. Let's see if I can find where Akpabio. They said Akpabio diverted almost was it 20 billion to his constituency? Thereabout. Yeah. There was an article that said that. Was it Jackson Uday that posted that? Let me see if I can find Jackson Uday. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So it says here how Akpabio planned to loot 20.5 billion through budget allocation to his constituency. You see, in a well-designed scheme to steal 20.5 billion from the 2024 federal budget, controversial Senate President Godswill Akpabio blackmailed the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Let's see. Don't mind my screen now. I have so many things going on. So it says they blackmailed the food security to allocate projects worth 18 billion to his senatorial zone in the 2024 budget. Akpabio played the same game in making the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs to allocate another 2.5 billion for the purchase of deep freezers for women in his senatorial zone. All the scandalous contracts are to be awarded to companies owned by his cronies and fronts who will never do the project even after being paid. You see that? You see what Jackson O'Day wrote there? Even if they give them this money, they will still not execute the project. That is just the annoying part. They will still not execute the project. They will still not execute it. They will still pocket this money. It now comes to my mind. Like I was just thinking, okay, does it mean that even after Nigerians or these senatorial zones, even after putting these people into the red chambers or the lower chamber, the senators will still have to fight to get something for the people? I don't understand how it works. I was thinking, because we have this big center, we need people from all these local governments, local areas or senatorial areas to go and represent their people. In representing their people does not mean that you are going to go and fight for something to come to your people. You are going to represent your people and tell them that this is what my people want. We need money for it. If it means you sending representative to go to those zones and go check if these people actually need this thing, then you give it to them. So does it mean that these senators that we put in those places, they still go there to go and fight? Then what is the essence of putting them there? What is the essence of having those two chambers? Why don't we make it a regional government? Why don't we make it your government, your regional government takes care of your needs? You don't need to fight for deep freezers. You don't need to fight for solar system and road. Your regional government would handle those things, would take care of those things for you. Then why do we have to fight ourselves and send people there if they still need to go and lobby to get something for their people? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So this is the reason why we need to speak about these things. Every Nigerian need to have, in short, we all need to have a social media platform where we all bring all these things to cognizance, like we bring all these things to people's view, so people know what is happening. That, oh, for the fact that you elected somebody to go and represent you in the National Assembly does not mean that the person will go there and everything will be given to him. You have to go there and go and fight and lobby so that you can get. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If that is how they practice in other country, then democracy is not for us. We don't need to practice democracy. We are too big of a people to practice if that is what it is, then no need for democracy. We should go back to status quo, the way it was. Everybody take care of your region. Your region will provide for you all the basic amenities that you need. That is how it's supposed to be. So I don't want to take much. I think I've already gone almost 45 minutes thereabout. So I'm gonna pause it here. I'm gonna stop it here and have a part 2. I don't want it to be so long so that people can be able to. I don't think people will want to sit down for 1 hour straight just to listen. So if we can have a break, then have a part 2 so we can make it easier for people to sit down and listen to it. So I want to thank you all for listening. Please and please and please and please and please, it's our responsibility for us to speak up. If not, these people will ruin the country. The country is already in ruins. It's in ruins already. There's nothing. The things that we are trying to salvage, we just want to salvage for salvage sake. All right, unless the country is completely, it's gone. It's gone. And that is why I would always stand and support for people who want self-determination. I believe that it's high time everybody go their separate ways because it's not working. Nobody is there for the interest of Nigeria. They are all there for the interest of themselves and their people. That's those who care for their people. But most importantly, most of them are all there for themselves. What they're going to gain, that is what they are there for. So I'm going to end it here. Again, thank you so much for listening. And if you like the channel, please share and like it. Thank you so much and stay safe. Bye.